Well, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Reaper Gaming here, back with another little SurrounDead video. So just a couple of things that I use in the game. I'm just going to be doing a few tips with you in this video, so let's go ahead and get straight to it, to tip number one. Okay, so the first tip I want to show you is pretty simple actually. You'll notice that I've turned down the foliage in the game for the purpose of this video, so you'll always find that you come across these little spots here, and I'm sure by now you've realized that you can't even go up them because you always slide down, and if you're at the very top you tend to fall pretty fast. So for the demonstration of this video, I'm going to go down there and show you the reason of this tip number one. Tip number one is basically, if you've got any of them coming up behind you, and this also works with the AI, if they don't come round, you'll find that if you stand at the top here, they have a very difficult time making it round or coming straight up to you, because obviously they slide back down. They just seem to go for a direct line of sight. They don't actually try and go around. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you right now. Okay, so as we can see, I've managed to get a couple of zombies to follow me, and not attempting to go around, it's just a straight line of sight. And there you go. There you can clearly see that the zombie is now stuck at the bottom, and I would have no problem that if I was severely wounded, bandaging up here or getting my weapon reloaded and then taking them out, or down and taking them out. But obviously AI might stand there and engage you, so you're going to have to use different tactics. But I hope this little tip number one will help you out. So taking in mind, this does work for the AI, but as I just mentioned, be careful because they could get their weapons out and engage you. So let's move on to tip number two. Okay, so moving on to tip number two. As you can see, I've already taken a couple of these out. But here we are at the prison compound. Okay, now this one will work with your character either whistling if you've unlocked it in your skills, or if you have a vehicle by tooting the horn. So I'm just going to go ahead and demonstrate this with the character. So if you don't have a vehicle, the reason for this is because obviously the closer you get to some of these compounds, it's a radiated zone. So the purpose of this is to take as less damage as possible. Before we get to the prison, we want to take out a lot of these zombies. So, but obviously this will work for other compounds as well. Let's put our weapon away here so we can move a bit quicker. Okay, so just done a little whistle function there. Okay, now they're starting to follow me. Okay, as you can see, I've already taken damage, but that's why it's crackling. I'm now out of the radiation zone, but even though they still follow me, I can now engage without being radiated and taking any further damage. And there you go, that's my little tip number two. Obviously that will work for the vehicle as well. Just make sure that you've got the vehicle in such a state that it's not going to get damaged to the point where you get stuck in a radiated zone, because then you'll just have to get out and get on foot. But that's tip number two, guys. We'll move on to tip number three now. Okay, so tip number three. This isn't always guaranteed to work, but it will work sometimes. So if you have any Molotovs, in certain compounds this will work, and others it may not. So if I come to the window here as a prison, just got to be careful that obviously they can smack you through the wall sometimes, just a little glitch in the game. So if I just go ahead and use my whistle function and get as many of them as possible over here, and I think there's a couple that are already there. Make sure I've got my Molotov armed. I just go ahead and lob a Molotov over there. Then the flames will actually penetrate the wall and do some damage to the zombies inside. And there we go, that's tip number three for you. You can hear them moaning and groaning, that's them taking damage still. And that was it for that tip, guys. Let's move straight on to tip number four. Okay, so moving on to my next number four. For this you're going to need the small turret. Now this will work inside a building or outside of a building. Basically the point I'm trying to make is that once the turret is placed, if it's still got health, the next time log out and log back in and come to back to that same location. If the turret is still healthy, it will still work and engage targets. So You can either leave it inside or outside. It depends on what your strategy is. So for the purpose of this video, I've got my turret in my backpack. I'm going to go up the prison here, just outside of the first main door, and place it, trying to attract some zombies, and we'll see how this little strategy of mine works. I hope it will work for you and help you out. So here we go. Okay, so if I just go ahead and place a turret about here. Okay, let's open the door. A quick whistle. Let's see if we can get some of them coming this way. Okay, so the whistle's worked. It's only one. Oh, damn. And there we go. So you can see it works on the outside. And here come a bunch more. Now I'm going to get out of the way because, taking in mind that the weapon system, once it's engaging targets, if you're in the line of fire, it will damage you as well. It never used to at the very start of the game, but obviously that's been altered, and quite rightly so. Okay, so here we go. I hope I've got some keys left to open the door. And there we go. As long as the targets are in the line of sight and the gun has health, it'll work. And also, as I mentioned, if you log out and log back in, as soon as you get in the vicinity of the gun turret and it detects any targets, it will start engaging for you, whether that's inside the building or outside of the building. So I hope this other little tip has helped you out. Let's move straight on to tip number 5. Okay, so for this next tip, I've decided to come down to the private bunker. Obviously, as you can see here, it's pretty dark, even though it's bright outside, but when it's nighttime, it can become even darker. So for this next tip is basically, if you've got the keys to come to a darker location, or it's nighttime in any location, you don't have night vision for this, all you're going to require is the following. So you can see here in my gear, I've got a lamp and I've got a wall light. Now, the wall lights used to work, but they don't anymore. So if for the wall lights to work, you'll need a generator. But what I suggest is just these little lamps for the time being. And the reason for that is they don't require an external power source, as I'll demonstrate to you right now. So I've got 3 of them. So if I just go ahead and right click and place. Okay, so now if I go up to that lamp and turn it on, there we go. You have now got yourself a little light source. So if your night vision goes out or you don't have one at all, there we go. It's obviously not the best, but it's better than nothing. And the more of these you have, the more of them you can place around. And that basically goes for anywhere on the map as far as I'm aware. So I hope this other little tip has helped you out with a little light source trick. And I'll see you all in the next tip. Okay, so for this next tip, it's just a very, very simple one, a quick one. So obviously there's been some changes made to the map. So if I just go ahead and bring up my map, you can see that not everything is actually marked on the map now. That's because you have to go and discover them. But once you've discovered something, if you're curious about that location and what it is, just zoom in on the map, put your mouse cursor over it, and there we go. The dev has now integrated something as to where you put your mouse over there. As I've just done, you can see another little window pops up with all the information about that particular location, the loot to find, and a description of the location. Very, very good feature. So that's it for that tip. Let's move straight on to the next one. Okay, so for this next tip, you could either use a fence or a barricade, concrete, or barbed wire. Just be aware with the barbed wire, if you obviously get too close to it, you can damage yourself. So for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to use a concrete barricade. So make sure I've got the right angle already positioned. So if I now go ahead and place, now when I whistle over some of the zombies, you can see in this particular case, their clear line of sight is blocked to me. So this method can be used obviously inside buildings as well, and the nice thing about this, it also the same as the turrets. Once you log out and you come back in, the barricade will still be there. The zombies have a hard time obviously navigating over this because they're dead. Good thing is, if you're in a bit of a pickle, let's say if this was a cordoned off room and I had a bunch of zombies behind me here and this barricade was here, I could easily roll over. There we go. So let me try and demonstrate that for you. So I've got a bunch of zombies after me. See if they make it up the stairs this time. Okay, I'll vault over. And there we go. So it's just a little bit of protection for you in case you're in a bit of a pickle, you need to reload, rebandage, whatever it is you want to do. And yeah, okay, I hope this tip has helped you out. And we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so for this next tip, I'm going to be using, and I'll put a picture of everything obviously that I've been using in each video. I'll put a picture there for you. In this one, it's going to be the barricaded metal door. So if I just go ahead and right click and place. Okay, so the purpose of this little tip is so if you're in an elevated position or wherever it is that you may be and you want to loot in peace and quiet, you could either obviously use any of the other methods that I previously showed you, a barricade or a fence, or you could just have one of these doors here. So instead of vaulting, you could just obviously open and close. Now, as you can see, this isn't a very snug fit, but there's also a good purpose behind that. So if you just go into first person, bring up your weapon system, if there's any zombies here that might be in the gaps, instead of having to open the door, you can just engage them through the gaps, and that way you'll also have the protection of the door whilst engaging the targets. And there you go. So I hope this little tip has helped you out as well. So moving on to my next tip, this is just a little loot tip, a method that I personally use. So as you can see, I've got some various toolboxes here, and what I've done with them is I've categorized them. So some have got building materials in them, but for the demonstration purposes of this video, I'll just use this one here. So I've got in the toolbox here, as you can see, various bullet casings and gunpowder, and it's all filled up, and the purpose of that is so that I don't always have to drag and drop. So if I just now go ahead, as you can see here, I found some more bullet casings, hold down my left control, left mouse click, and there we go. It's gone straight into that toolbox. I don't have to faff around with all my gear and going into different menus. It's automatically placed it in there. Same with money. There we go. So here we've got some stone and some duct tape, and let me find the little box for you. So you can see here, that's all loot stuff. So if I just do the same here, there we go. So as long as there's enough space, it'll automatically stack it in those toolboxes for you. That's just a little tip from me, the way I do my looting. It saves a lot of space and faffing around. So I hope that one's helped you out as well. So for this video, this is going to be my final tip. This is just a base building location. Here is my little cubby hole that I've got set up, and I'll show you exactly where that is on the map. So we'll just pop up the map here. So if you go down to the far east side, just scroll in, and from there, from the trader, just heading west a little ways. Now obviously if these markers weren't here, if I just zoom in a little ways, you follow the main road, eventually you get a dirt road leading down to the left, and here it is. It's the large industrial building. Plenty of space to put whatever you want. I'll just give you a quick look on the inside in case you're new to the game and you haven't seen this location before. Obviously there's some static objects that come with this building. I'm not too bothered about that. It's a removing feature. I quite like them where they are. But yeah, you've got large amounts of volume of space upstairs and downstairs. You know, all you got to do is barricade it off. I've just used some simple metal fences here and put some simple doors in, and that's it. So that's about it for this video, guys. Thanks again for tuning in. If you've got any little tips of your own, go ahead and comment below. Leave a like if you can. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll be sure to bring out some more tips videos for you if I can think of anything else. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.